Hello, friend.
Fair warning, a lot of what we say today will make it seem like this is an older episode, but it's not. I just have to say the same thing about The Crow that I've said about a lot of other movies, and that makes me sad. From the Vault 319 recording room, this is the Twinkle Podcast. What's up, everybody? I'm Jake Alexander, the voice in the void, the lone wolf, your favorite host with a lisp. Welcome to another episode of the Tweakle Podcast. If this is your first time rocking with us, thank you very much for giving us a shot. We got plenty of other episodes that you may have not seen that you could watch, keep you entertained and informed. And if you've been rocking with us for a while, thank you very much. I truly appreciate every single person that decides to tune into this pokey little podcast. We got a pretty short show today. It ain't going to be very long, even though we do have a handful of things that we're going to get into. We're going to talk about Halle Berry's new movie on Netflix. It's actually okay. It's not too bad. We're going to talk about that. And we're actually going to talk about The Crow, the remake, the 2024 version with Stellan Skarsgard. And it's going to sound like I've said these things about other movies, and there's a reason why, because they're kind of all true, but we'll talk about that when we get to it. But the first thing we're going to do today is talk about the news. So we start the news off today by talking about the passing of Sid Udy. Now, most people don't know the name, but if you are a wrestling fan, you absolutely know Psycho Sid. Psycho Sid made a name for himself in not only WWE, but WCW and a couple of other wrestling promotions by being a premier big guy through the 90s and late 80s through the 90s on into the early 2000s. He's one of those guys that regardless of who you put him up against, he was just always fun to watch. And he had a couple of personas over the year, but the one that everybody knows him most primarily is as Psycho Sid, just a complete madman going up against the likes of Bam Bam Bigelow, Undertaker, and so many other great wrestlers. He was a great wrestler in his own right, and if you have no idea who he is, or if you're a wrestling fan and you forgot just how good he was in the ring, get on YouTube. You can find a ton of his matches. It is said that he passed away from Hodgkin's lymphoma, stage 4. It was very advanced. He had not talked about it with anybody outside of his family, and it looks like that is what evidently took his life. Psycho Sid was only 63 years old. At the box office, it is a back and forth for number one at the box office. Deadpool Wolverine has gone back up to number one, taking over the number one spot from Alien Romulus, which comes in at number 2. Deadpool Wolverine is now at just about $1.22 million. They're just a hair under Inside Out 2 for number one film at the box office thus far this year. Alien Romulus now at $231.8 million. That is a great haul for a movie with only an $80 million budget. Now, we may say $80 million, that's still a lot of money for just regular folk like us, but for a film, $80 million is absolutely nothing. So to get up to 231.8, that is a great haul for them. That just goes to show you don't need a ton of money to do a movie and to make money off of it. Coming in at number 3, still at number 3 after the past couple of weeks, It Ends With Us. So Ryan Reynolds' family is basically taking over the movie theaters thus far. We don't have a lot of new movies coming out this week, but I know upcoming very, very soon, there are a couple movies that we're going to see, and we are going to review a bunch of them when they do come out, but you're just going to have to wait until next week. So we had a couple of trailers over the past couple of days, actually, that both of them are just out of this world. The first one, the trailer for Sonic 3. If you haven't seen it, it is on the Instagram page. You can go over there and watch part of it. It looks phenomenal. And who would have thought that we've come this far to having 3 Sonic movies after we got that first trailer for that original Sonic, the ugly Sonic? But we've come a long way from that. But this trailer specifically looks really good. Keanu Reeves will be playing Shadow, doing the voice of Shadow, and he's perfect voice casting. Idris Elba will be back as the other hedgehog. I always forgot which one. Oh, Knuckles. I'm sorry about that. And the original cast from the first movie will be back in this one. Jim Carrey did sign on, and he will be in this one as Dr. Eggman Robotnik. In this one, he'll be looking more cartoon/comic accurate for his character. So I cannot wait to go see that. That's going to be a good, fun, just silly movie to go see, especially going to see it with the kids. Our other trailer, a movie called Steamboat Willie. Now, if you don't know who that is, let me explain. So, Steamboat Willie was the first Disney cartoon to feature Mickey Mouse, and that was the name of the short. Now, it fell into public domain earlier this year, and everybody that could possibly get their hands on it jumped on it, started using it. Disney tried to file a trademark for it and say, "Hey, nobody's allowed to use this," but it fell into public domain because it's been more than 100 years or 100 years plus, and so now that it's in public domain, anybody can take it and use it for whatever they want to. And it looks like we're going to get a horror film. And again, the name of it is Screamboat Willie. And it looks like it's going to be in the same vein as Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. So it looks completely ridiculous. It looks like it's just totally stupid. And that's exactly what we expect for somebody taking an old Mickey Mouse cartoon and turning it into a horror movie. So if you want to see the first teaser for that one, it's not very long. It's less than 50 seconds. You can go and watch that. It's over on the Instagram page also. And don't forget to subscribe to the Instagram page so you can see more as I post them. Masashi Kishimoto, do you know that name? It looks like he's going to actually have a brand new series coming, but not very soon. We don't know exactly when, but it looks like it's going to be maybe within the next year or so. So he hinted at that there was a series beyond the world of Naruto that he wants to start working on and to get out as soon as possible when he was talking at a fan event over in France over this past week. Now, a lot of people are speculating that it's going to be, the anime itself is going to be an all new property, but it's going to be based on a manga that he's already written, one called Samurai 8, The Tales of Hachimura. Now, that ended in 2020 after its run, so a lot of people are saying that that's the one he's going to adapt and turn it into an anime, and that's going to run alongside Boruto and everything going on within the Naruto universe. So I can't wait to actually see what he comes up with. The man created Naruto, so he actually knows what he's doing. So whatever he comes up with, as soon as I find out, I will let you know. Last up in our news, we're getting a sci-fi queen going into the Star Wars universe, and I cannot be happier to hear about it. So I already told you a couple weeks ago that Disney is planning on doing a Mandalorian and slash Grogu movie, and that's coming out in 2026, where they just added one of the biggest names in sci-fi to their cast, none other than Sigourney Weaver. Now, she just said that she's in the movie. She has confirmed that. She didn't tell us what role she's going to play, but to me, it does not matter. It's Sigourney Weaver. The woman is sci-fi royalty. I've done male or female. She knows what she's doing in the world of sci-fi. Alien. She's Ripley, for God's sakes. She's been in Avatar. When it comes to sci-fi, if you're going to add a name to your film and it's going to be a female character, Sigourney Weaver is a good place to start, right? I mean, I'm pretty sure everybody can agree with that. So, like I said, whatever role is going to be, I'm pretty sure she's going to be really good in it. She says she's going to start filming that one very soon, right after she gets done filming another film she's already doing called The Tempest. So I actually now want to go see The Tempest because Sigourney Weaver's in it. I don't even know if that's going to be sci-fi or not, but either way, I want to see it. That's all our news for now. Don't forget to check out and subscribe to our Instagram page, just like you're subscribed here, for every single type of thing, like random stories about me and trailers and everything else I'm thinking when I'm running this pokey little podcast. I'm going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to start talking about movies. The first one up is Afraid. The movie Afraid stars John Cho as a family man whose job allows him to take home and test a smart home device named Aya, and the device itself becomes self-aware and, dare I say, very human. Now, you notice that I started and went right to the synopsis of the movie. Well, there's not much more I can say about it, honestly. That's really the only thing you need to know about the film. Everything else is honestly completely missable. First off, this isn't a horror film. Even though it's very much listed as a horror film, it's not. It's an AI tech thriller drama. If you go in it looking for a horror, you're not really going to get any. Now, there's some jump scares, but if you've actually seen real good horror films and have had really good jump scares, these are going to leave you, it's going to leave you wanting a hell of a lot more. So don't go in it looking for a horror film. It's an AI text drama thriller, and that's just fine. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. The acting in it, the writing, the cinematography, it's all serviceable, but the sum of all of that put together, it doesn't really add up. My biggest criticism, honestly, of the film, it's very predictable. You know exactly what's going to happen, not just from the time the AI starts to act human and has its own personality, but the moment this movie starts, exactly what's going to happen from beginning to end. And believe me, this movie isn't very long. It's not even 90 minutes. I want to say it's about 88 minutes total. There's a myriad of films out there that you can that take the same idea and just do a much better job of doing it. Films like Smart House, Eagle Eye, Ex Machina, hell, even you go back to the original Terminator. I mean, all of those movies take the same exact idea: AI gone nuts and becoming murderous and trying to take us out and take over, and because it has its own personality. This movie doesn't actually do anything new. Like I said, it's very predictable. You know what's going to happen. Now, that's not really a bad thing, but at the same time, it's not a good thing. I like John Cho, but it seems like all the movies he's in as of late, and even the TV shows, even though I still think Cowboy Bebop was actually really good on Netflix, he just really doesn't do him any justice. He's a very good actor, but somebody needs to get him to take on better roles going into the future. Like I said, Afraid isn't a horrible movie by no stretch of the imagination, but there are so many that take the same idea and do it so much better. There's really no reason to watch it. I can't recommend that you go see it, but if you really do, just wait a few months. It'll be on streaming. Sit at home and watch it then. Ah, the Union. See, I love Halle Berry. I always have. Well, so many people in the 90s had crushes on people like Daniel Fishel and, Lark Voorhees. Honestly, I understand those totally. I was in love with Halle Berry. I was then, still now to a certain extent. The woman's gorgeous and she's super talented. I love pretty much everything she's been in. Now, as far as Mark Wahlberg, I can't say the same thing about him. I don't think I've ever seen a movie that Mark Wahlberg was in and I was like, yo, he stole the show, or he was. I've never actually seen a movie where he, honestly, to my opinion, he measured up to par. But putting them in a film together, honestly, is really the only way you were going to get me to recommend a movie to see them. And honestly, I do recommend that you see this film. The Union is an action, comedy, thriller, drama mashup. And you see the super spy played by Halle Berry, Roxanne. She goes and basically coerces, or not so much coerces, but as much as kidnap, an old high school sweetheart named Mike, played by Mark Wahlberg, to bring him into the Union, the organization that she works for, in order to take on a mission. And why does she do that? Because he's a nobody, and nobody's going to see him coming. Now, see, for the first time, honestly, watching this, Wahlberg to me seems like he's at home and comfortable in the role that he's actually playing. I guess you give that credit to Halle Berry and J.K. Simmons, who do a whole lot of the heavy lifting for him in this film, especially doing that training montage. There's something about training montages that always makes an actor seem a hell of a lot better than they actually are. Go figure. Barry is as good in action in this as she was in her John Wick role. And again, if you haven't seen that John Wick movie with her in it, you have totally missed out. One of the better of the entire series. J.K. Simmons, Dana Delaney, Lorraine Bracco, Mike Coulter, they all show up in the movie. And honestly, they add so much more flavor and so many in between notes in the film that honestly, without them, I don't think this movie would actually be any good. They are all just good at the little things they do that add up and make this film such an enjoyable film watching thing. Now, while most will compare this movie to something like Mission Impossible or any of those movies, to me, this is like another Tom Cruise movie. Night and Day from 2010. Now, that was a good movie, and that starred Tom Cruise and Cameron Diaz. That same type of interaction between him and Cameron Diaz is the same type of interaction you'll get between Halle Berry and Mark Wahlberg. But in this case, a woman is in the leading role, not Tom Cruise. Now, detractors will say this is just another Netflix dud, but I kind of honestly disagree. Is the movie predictable? Yeah, but unfortunately, most movies are. But honestly, this is just another Mission Impossible fill-in summer flick that you can just sit, watch, enjoy, digest, and move on. And it did not need to be anything other than that. Could there be a sequel in the future? Maybe. Doesn't need to, but the way that the ending came, it seems like they're going to do a sequel at some point down the line. Now, if they are, and it's going to be another almost Netflix exclusive film, we'll probably get it sometime next year if they actually do a sequel. Now, you can watch this in theaters or you can sit at home and watch it. And honestly, I'd say don't spend your hard-earned money. Just sit at home and watch it on Netflix. It's still an enjoyable movie, but you shouldn't spend money on a movie like this. Just ignore the theater. Stay at home, buy some popcorn or pop it in your microwave and just sit on the couch, veg out for a little bit and enjoy the film. It's just enjoyable. And that's all it ever needed to be in the first place. So I guess you can say I'm just kind of sad about The Crow. My expectations, I expected this to be as good or even better than the 1994 original film that follows the graphic novel. But no, this is a film. Honestly, it's either written by someone, or I can even see this being written by AI. But it only knows the story of The Crow through like secondhand telling. This doesn't feel like somebody went and researched the graphic novel or the first film and tried to craft a new movie. Seems like they knew nothing about the original in the first place. Now it's been 30 years since the original, so I would expect that you had enough time to look up the original graphic novel, look at the first film, look at the mistakes of the 1996 and 2000 follow-ups, and say, okay, we know where to go and to make and craft a film that would be really good, especially that it's going to be rated R and you're going to use Bill Skarsgård in it. I think I said Stellan Skarsgård in the opening. I digress. We'll move on. But sadly, this 2024 version is it just falls in line with those original two sequels from 1996 and 2000. This is obviously a remake of the 1994 film where Eric Draven and his girlfriend Shelley Webster are murdered, but Eric Draven comes back as a spirit of vengeance and decides to right the wrongs that led to his and his girlfriend's untimely death. And that's where the fun ends, because outside of that, this has no bearing on the 1994 version and very little bearing on the original graphic novel. Now, see, the 1994 version, it left a little bit up to our imaginations to fill in the blanks of the relationship between Shelley and Eric, and we had to think, and the only thing we got about their relationships were flashbacks. And it would seem like having how they got together and seeing that them getting closer in this film would be a good idea. But the way it's presented, it makes them boring. And I mean like very boring. The film spends a ton, and I mean a ton of time showing them just using drugs and drinking and having sex, but it doesn't lead anything. It does not add to the enjoyment of the film. It doesn't add to us liking the characters even more. It does not add to us feeling sorry for them when they actually end up being killed. It doesn't do anything really except make the film seem very, very emo. I expected one of them to OD. And just watching this, I forgot that I was watching The Crow. Like, no, they're not going to OD. They're going to get killed. And that's kind of the crux of the movie. They tried to spell out everything, honestly, in this film way too much. This film is honestly a property that is color by numbers. You have everything in a template. All you have to do is present it and just make it look good. But instead, it devolved into just good concepts and a lot of blood and poor execution on those good concepts. Now, see, if you wanted blood, believe me, you're going to get it more in this film than you will in the 1994 film, but it doesn't have what I expected it to have. The effect of showing all the blood and the killing in this one doesn't have the same effect as the 1994 film. Whereas this is more blood, it just seems like they just threw it in order to uphold the R rating, versus the 1994 film where there was blood. It was there as an effect to show you that, hey, this is going down. Shit just got real. Does it fit then? And somehow or another, more blood in this doesn't seem like it fits now. I like Bill Skarsgård, but his portrayal of Eric is, what's the word I'm looking for? He's unlikable. Eric is a guy, honestly, that you could like. He's a nice guy who got caught up in a bad situation. Now, we're not saying he's perfect, but like I said, he's a nice guy that got caught up in a bad situation. He's even funny at a couple of points in the original film. But this one, Bill Skarsgård plays him to the point where it's like, I don't particularly care if he gets killed. I just want to see the end of the film. Which is kind of sad, because the entire point of Eric Draven is that he is indeed a regular, likable person who got caught up, got killed, and life chose him to come back and avenge his own murder. You don't get that with the Bill Skarsgård version. Now, you can like the new version if you've never, ever tried to compare it to the original 1994 version. But unfortunately, you can't, especially if you've seen it or if you read the original graphic novel. The original 1994 film of The Crow it's not like the graphic novel. This one is a little bit more like the graphic novel, but the original 1994 at least holds up the spirit of the original. No pun intended. Now, I would say skip it all together, honestly, and I will say it. Just don't watch this one. Skip this one and watch the original 1994 film. And if you want to watch other revenge films like the 1994 films, but a little bit more blood, a little bit more violent, a little bit more hard hitting, watch something like Old Boy, either the original or that highfalutin remake that we got a couple years ago, and then go watch V for Vendetta. Honestly, those are better revenge flicks, and the original Crow is a better Crow movie. I'm very disappointed in this one, and that's sad because I love The Crow. It should have been a better film, but somehow or another, it's just such a letdown. Up next, it's time for the last call. So that's it, and that's all. It's time for the last call. I want to thank each and every single one of you for hanging out with me this week. You didn't have to, but you decided to tune into this pokey little podcast, and I truly appreciate it. I don't care if it's 1, 5, 10, 100, or 1,000 of you. I have so much fun doing it for everybody that decides to watch, and I appreciate it very, very truly. So don't forget to hit like and subscribe and share. Make sure you get your friends to hang out with you and watch it also. This weekend's weekend watch list, we have a long weekend. It's Labor Day weekend. It's going to be 3 days. It's not a lot on it, but you can take this, use it as a basis, and find some other things to watch. Our animation pick will lead off our weekend watch list. It is called Gate. Now, I had not seen this before. It was recommended to me a few times, and this is back in 2015, so I don't know what happened to me where I didn't get around to watching it so far, but I am watching it now. I've actually seen the first 3 episodes of it already. It is really good so far. It's an isekai, which, you know, me and isekai, it's not really my thing, but this one seems to be really good so far. Maybe we'll review it next week after I get done watching it. Our series pick, Terminator Zero, actually dropped this week, so I'm going to sit down and watch the entire thing, and after I'm done watching all of it, we will be talking about that one, because that was one of my most anticipated things this year. I couldn't wait to actually watch this one all the way through. Our film pick, and this is a kind of a long title, The Supremes at Earl's All You Can Eat. It is a film based on a book by the same name. Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, this is about the Supremes, who would go on to have a gigantic singing career in Motown. So I can't wait to actually see this one. This is about their friendship and their bond before hitting it big, and the ups and downs of all of that. So I can't wait to see it. So far, a couple of the reviews I've seen of it, it's been really good. So who knows? Maybe we'll talk about it after I get done watching it. And our nostalgia pick, I have a baby shower to go to later on today, and it's actually rodeo themed. Yeah, hey, I got weird friends and weird family. I admit that. But yeah, it's rodeo themed. So I am in the mood to watch westerns. And what better western to watch than 1993's Tombstone? It is a great film. I have seen that movie a million times. There is a ton of lines you can quote from it. I'm Your Huckleberry being one of them. It is a fantastic movie. Even if you're not into westerns, you watch that you're going to be into westerns after that. It is a fantastic fucking movie, honestly. That's it. That is our weekend watch list. And like I said, just use that as a basis. You can build other things to watch over the weekend. But besides that, get out there and enjoy yourself. And like I said, it's a long weekend. Enjoy it. Whatever you do, just make sure you keep yourself safe, keep your friends safe, keep your family safe, everybody around you. Don't do anything to get yourself hurt. No drinking and driving. Don't do that. I know friends and family that have been hurt by drinking and driving, and I don't want that to be you, of course. Yeah, whatever you do, make sure you stay hydrated, stay blessed. I say that every week, but you know, and always, please believe. I know it's hard out there right now, but you are not alone. And believe me, you are never alone. Even if you are sitting somewhere alone, at least you have me to watch and always to remind you that you're not alone. But if you do feel it and you need somebody to talk to immediately, pick up the phone, dial or text 988. There's always somebody there, even if you can't get to me through your TV or through your phone. That is it. It is time for us to go. Like I said, enjoy your weekend. It's 3 days. Do as much as you can possibly can just to have some fun. Just take your mind off of work. It's time for us to go. We will end this episode the same way we end every episode. For our producer, Nikki Rev, I will say to you the same thing we always say. God bless. I love you, and peace. See you next time.